Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jerry Seinfeld told USA Today, I knew that Seinfeld was going to be a hit. I didn't know how and what way, but I knew people were ready for a show where people talked differently. He wasn't as sure about comedians in cars getting coffee. There's this other side of my life that was about just hanging out with these crazy people and was just as great for me as the career part. Steve Harvey had a great line in his episode about whenever there's some tragedy, comedians have to figure out how long till we can talk about it. But we have the jokes already. The jokes are ready immediately. That second. It's not the thing, it's the joke. How good is the joke? Obviously, the worse the thing, the better the joke has to be to justify doing it. He thinks about Don Rickles, who was a guest back in 2017. Jerry said Don's leg was bothering him and he was trying to shake the leg out. And he just looked at me and he says, I got to keep working. I don't know why, but I think about that a lot. I think about just working till death. Is that a good light to follow in life? Work till you're dead? I've decided it is. Hey, Mike Birbiglia, who do you find funny right now? Mike told The Hollywood Reporter, Atsuko Akatsuka is great. Zarna Garg is fascinating. I'm not familiar with Zarna. Sarah Sherman is like a bat out of hell. The fact that there's this cultural encouragement for diversity of voices in comedy makes the comedy way funnier. The stuff that people talk about is so different, and the dividends are going to be massive for where comedy goes. Hey, Mike Birbiglia, how did you wind up in Taylor Swift's video for Anti-Hero? Mike said, I've met Taylor a few times. One day I get a text message from an unknown number and it says, hey, it's Taylor. I wrote this script for a short film in the middle of my video. And I read the script and it's so hilarious and absurd and I'm laughing. But I'm also thinking, is Taylor Swift texting me or is this someone else catfishing me? Anyway, I go for it and I say, I'm in. But I'm in for what? Either I'm in a Taylor Swift video or I'm being conned by someone who's an excellent writer. The Indian Express watched Veer Das's new special. It's going to take me a beat to get to watch this one. Also, Chelsea Handler's new special, especially because I've polished off my top specials of the year list. This week between Christmas and New Year's in my family is usually a big, hey, let's all watch a movie week. I watched Glass Onion. Watch Glass Onion. It's fantastic. So I haven't seen Veer yet. Spoilers on the special coming up in 3, 2, 1. The Indian Express says the pandemic years have transformed Veer Das into a braver comic than he ever was. At a time when most Indian performers have admitted defeat and retreated to the safety of their homes, Das's comedy has become sharper, angrier, more urgent. He arrives with an even bigger chip on his shoulder in Landing, which is his new Netflix special. He jokes, I'm just here to eat some beef. I'm leaving tomorrow. Despite Landing's overall love Trump's hate vibe, Das isn't able to divorce himself from his observations. Perhaps he isn't a common man at all. For example, his experience aboard an Air India flight moments before landing in Mumbai isn't meant to be relatable, but here's the thing, and he seems unaware of this, it could be. Instead of reminding his viewers that they could all be persecuted like him one day, he had the controversy with the Two Indias special. He assures the audience that he doesn't want their sympathy, but at the same time presents himself as some kind of martyr. 4 stars out of 5 already. And Esquire says Chelsea Handler's new special is her finest work yet. More spoilers coming up in 3, 2, 1. Esquire writes, even in her most agitated state, like when recalling her 23-year-old nephew Jakey offering to mansplain basketball to her, Handler keeps her cool. Says, you were in my mansion. Emphasizing the words my and mansion. She pulls a similar trick when she reacts to her brother saying he had children out of concern for his legacy. She asks, what legacy? Your legacy is that you are my brother. Sounds like a fun special. All right, the Interrobang, they're doing their end of the year awards. You go to theinterrobang.com and you vote. Here are their nominees for Comedian of the Year. Now, when I first read it, I was like, what? And then I was like, wait, they probably have some sort of qualification for this. And they do. They have not included what they call the Hall of Famers, the comedians who have received Lifetime Achievement Awards or a Mark Twain Award or have sold out arenas. Because I read the list and I'm like, why is Dave Chappelle not the answer here? But that's why. So the types of people not eligible for their list include Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld, Kevin Hart, Adam Sandler. All right, Comedian of the Year 2022. The nominees from the Interrobang are Tom Segura, Liza Schlesinger, Robert Kelly, Joe List, Hassan Minhaj, Gerard Carmichael, Bridget Everett, Ari Shafir, Joel Kim Booster, Chris DiStefano. From that list, I guess I'll give a Lifetime Achievement Award to Tom Segura. Did he have a particularly strong year this year? But I'll vote for Tom Segura out of those. Previous recipients, 2014, Bill Burr. 2015, Nate Bargatze. 16, Jim Jeffries. 17, Judah Friedlander. 2018, Bert Kreischer. 2019, Shane Gillis. 2020, Colin Quinn. And last year, Nate Bargatze won again. Not sure how that worked rules-wise, and I probably told you about it a year ago. I don't remember. But hey, if Bert Kreischer's on this one, I'm going to double down on my vote for Tom Segura Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'm annoyed. I woke up this morning, got an email from YouTube We've reviewed your content. The video, Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11. We reviewed your content and confirmed it violates our misinformation policy. What? So they took down my video from like 2 years ago under the title, Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11. I appealed. I sent them the article from Variety that said, Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11. And I got back another email like 4 seconds later, so I doubt a human looked at it. Probably the robot looked at it. Hi, Daily Comedy News. We have reviewed your appeal for the following. Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11. We reviewed your content carefully, and there's no way you did because the video is longer than the amount of time between me sending you the appeal and me getting this email, so there's no way you reviewed it carefully, and have confirmed that it violates our misinformation policy. We know this is probably disappointing news, but it's our job to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all. All right, hold on here. First of all, the news story from 2 years ago, whatever, was that Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11. I sent you a Variety article. Now, are we nitpicking here that Richard wound up cameoing in one episode in Season 11? Is that the point here, that you're worried that somebody's going to go back and do some research? Hey, I want to watch Curb Season 11. I wonder if Richard Lewis is in it. They're going to get some misinformation from 2 years ago me and totally miss the cameo. Is that what we're doing here? Have you seen some of the stuff on your platform, YouTube? I was complaining to my cousin, and I said, I'm just going to upload a video called AV.A.TAR.2, and I'll probably get away with it. I mean, some of the stuff that's on there, here's the top 180 minutes from The Godfather 2, but people flip the video and they get away with it. And you're going to give me grief about Richard Lewis will not return for Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11? I'm mad at you, YouTube. All right, let's move on. I was catching up on some podcasts while playing video games. What were you playing, Johnny Mac? I was playing some NHL 23, and I was playing some NBA 2K23. Both great games. Anyway, I wanted to check out Neal Brennan's new podcast. It's called Blocks. I started with the second episode for no particular reason. The guest was Bert Kreischer. I like Bert Kreischer. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you probably pick up the vibe that I dig Bert Kreischer. And I got a few minutes into it, and I just wasn't feeling it. Neal was fine. I just wasn't getting Bert's vibe. And I was like, oh, that's disappointing. So I deleted it because my phone, I have so many podcasts to catch up on. So if it's not grabbing me, just delete. So I went back to the premiere episode of Neal Brennan's Blocks podcast, and the guest, David Letterman. Longtime listeners know how much I love David Letterman, especially 80s Letterman. And boy, that was a fantastic listen. Really great. Dave talking about all his insecurities and how he only felt good for a few minutes after a great show and then went back to having a lot of self-doubt. Really, really compelling listen. Now, at one point, David Letterman tries to get Neal to talk about Dave Chappelle. You can tell Neal Brennan is done talking about Dave Chappelle. He fielded the question, immediately deflected it, and got Letterman off the subject. Pretty interesting there. So that's pretty good. Also checked out Bol Maher, his guest Weird Al Yankovic. Weird Al is one of my favorites. That was also a really good listen. So I recommend Neal Brennan with Letterman, Bol Maher with Weird Al, and I guess you can form your own opinion about Bert Kreischer. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying I just wasn't feeling it. The South Park guys have announced an opening day for their restaurant Casa Bonita. Here's the backstory from the laugh button. The decision to purchase Casa Bonita is not random. South Park has an entire episode surrounded around it, titled Casa Bonita. While it had once been a fairly popular chain, by the time the South Park boys bought it, there was only one left in Lakewood, Colorado. Back in the day, the Mexican-themed restaurant did more than just serve food. The restaurant was complete with various fun attractions and features, including an arcade, cave, and waterfall with cliff divers. And like everything in the 21st century, this does not go without controversy. A group called Save Casa Bonita briefly fought to prevent the sale to Matt and Trey on the grounds that the iconic restaurant should be owned by locals, and because they were worried the whole thing would become a joke. Parker and Stone are vocal in their support for the community they grew up in and have been praised for their decision to save the restaurant by Lakewood Mayor Adam Paul. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show on Apple, Spotify. Maybe the episode's still up on YouTube. Maybe YouTube will strike this video and say, hey, you gave out some inaccurate information about the South Park guys buying a Mexican restaurant in Colorado. We're taking your video down for misinformation. You never know what they do. So you better subscribe everywhere. See you tomorrow.